You aren't being told the truth about what happened this Super Bowl weekend. While everyone is arguing over a halftime show, the real story is much darker. We just watched the mask slip. The villain isn't just a politician or a sports league, it's a system that's finally run out of time. And the victim? That's your savings, your future, and the very ground you stand on. By the time most people realize this wasn't a culture war but a financial surrender, it will be too late. What you're about to see isn't speculation. It's pattern recognition. And if you felt like something fundamental has broken in this country over the past year, you're not crazy. You're paying attention. This is the story of how a Super Bowl controversy became the perfect cover for the greatest wealth transfer in American history. And it's happening right now, in real time, while we're all looking the other way. Let's start with what they want you to see. The mainstream media wants you focused on the absolutely terrible reviews of the Super Bowl halftime show. They want you picking sides in a celebrity feud. Trump versus Bad Bunny, red states versus blue states, patriots versus globalists. It's compelling, it's emotional, it gets clicks, and that's exactly the point. Because while we were distracted by the noise, while Twitter was melting down over whether a Puerto Rican artist should perform at America's biggest sporting event, something far more significant was happening in the background. The Joint Economic Committee quietly confirmed that the U.S. national debt just surged past $38.5 trillion. That's nearly $7,000 in new debt for every single American, added just in the last 12 months. But here's what makes this different from every other debt milestone we've passed. This time, the interest payments alone are consuming nearly 14% of the entire federal budget. We are now spending more just to service our debt than we spend on defense, more than we spend on education, more than we spend on infrastructure. We're paying more just to exist as a debtor nation than we are on almost anything that actually builds or protects this country. You've probably felt that something is fundamentally broken. You've seen the prices. You've watched your grocery bill double. You've seen the volatility in your retirement account. Your suspicion isn't a conspiracy. It's pattern recognition. The NFL backlash wasn't about music. It was the final confirmation that America is no longer a country. It's a bankrupt hostage state, and the ransom is being paid with your purchasing power. Let's be real for a second. Trump's war with the NFL isn't new. He's been trying to break them since the 1980s, when his United States Football League dreams went up in smoke. He sued the NFL for monopolistic practices. He lost. He got awarded $3 in damages. $3. It was humiliating. But on February 2026, the stakes changed. By attacking the league's globalist shift, by making Bad Bunny's performance a national controversy, he isn't just playing to his base. He's signaling a retreat. The NFL is one of our last great exports, a symbol of American cultural dominance that still commands global attention. When the President of the United States declares war on the national pastime, when he calls it unpatriotic, when he suggests Americans should boycott the Super Bowl, he's admitting something critical. The American brand is officially for sale to the highest bidder. Think about what the Super Bowl represents. It's not just a game. It's a $100 million advertisement for American prosperity. It's the showcase of our consumer power, our technological dominance, our cultural reach. It's the one day a year when the entire world tunes in to watch American capitalism at its finest. And now the president is telling you to turn it off. This isn't about protecting traditional values. This is about managing expectations. This is about preparing the American public for a fundamental downgrade in our standard of living and doing it under the cover of cultural grievance. The backlash is psychological preparation. It's softening the blow. It's teaching Americans to expect less, to accept less, to celebrate austerity as patriotism. Because what's coming next requires your compliance. Let me show you exactly how bad this is. The Congressional Budget Office just released their long-term projections, and buried in the technical language and the dense charts is a single number that should terrify every American. By 2030, just 4 years from now, net interest payments will consume over 18% of all federal revenue. By 2040, it's projected to hit 25%. 1/4 of everything the government collects will go just to paying interest, not paying down the debt, just the interest. Do you understand what that means? It means we're trapped. There is no policy solution. There is no tax increase big enough. There is no spending cut deep enough. We have crossed the event horizon. This is why you're seeing resource imperialism making a comeback. The threats to seize Greenland, the renewed interest in Venezuelan oil fields, the aggressive posturing toward the Panama Canal. These aren't random foreign policy positions. These are the desperate moves of a treasury that's tapped out. When a government can no longer fund itself through normal taxation and borrowing, it has 3 options: print money and accept hyperinflation, default on the debt and accept economic collapse, or seize resources from weaker neighbors and pray it buys you another decade. We're watching option 3 play out in real time. The NFL Backlash is part of this. It's training the American public to think in terms of scarcity instead of abundance. It's normalizing the idea that we can't afford to be the global cultural leader anymore, that we need to pull back, get smaller, defend what's ours. It's reframing American decline as American strength. And while the public fights over whether Bad Bunny represents American values, the actual financial surrender is already complete. The infrastructure bill that was supposed to rebuild America, 40% of it is being diverted to debt service. Defense spending increases. Borrowed money will be paying interest on for generations. Every single policy priority, every campaign promise, every national ambition is now secondary to feeding the debt machine. We are living in a country where the government's primary function is no longer to serve its citizens. It's to service its creditors. Now here's where it gets really dark. While the public fights over the halftime playlist, while we're all picking sides in manufactured culture wars, a new Gilded Age has been cemented into place. In 2025 alone, mega donors funneled over $300 million into political action committees in exchange for regulatory rollbacks. Crypto, artificial intelligence, fossil fuels, pharmaceutical companies, they didn't just buy access, they bought the entire regulatory framework. And it's working. We're seeing a $350 million ballroom being built at the White House, while the average American household is carrying $286,000 in national debt liability. Read that again. Every household in America, whether they know it or not, is on the hook for nearly $300,000 of government debt. Your equity, your home, your 401k, the value of your labor. It's all being used as collateral for a debt that can never be repaid. And the people who created this crisis, they're getting richer. The wealth gap in America is now wider than it was during the original Gilded Age of the 1890s. The top 1% owns more wealth than the entire middle class combined. And unlike the 1890s, there's no trust busting on the horizon. There's no progressive reform movement. There's no political will to change it. Because the people who could change it are the same people who benefit from it. This is why the NFL controversy is so perfectly timed. It's theater of the absurd, designed to keep you from noticing that the social contract has been dissolved. The promise that if you work hard, play by the rules, and contribute to society, you'll be able to build a decent life? That's over. Now the game is simple. If you're already wealthy, you'll be protected. If you're not, you're on your own. The backlash against the Super Bowl, the culture war narratives, the constant state of outrage on social media, it's all a distraction. It's bread and circuses. Except we're running out of bread, and the circus is getting worse every year. And the truly terrifying part? it's working. Americans are more divided than ever, fighting each other over symbols and gestures while the actual transfer of wealth happens silently in the background. We're watching the liquidation of the middle class in real time, and we're too busy arguing about a halftime show to notice. So, what comes next? The pattern is clear if you know where to look. Every empire in decline follows the same trajectory. First, you hollow out the productive economy and replace it with financialization. Check. Then you monetize every public good and sell it to private interests. Check. Then you create elaborate cultural distractions to keep the population from organizing resistance. Check. And finally, you prepare for managed collapse. That's what we're seeing now. The government isn't trying to fix the debt. They're trying to manage the decline. Make it slow enough that people don't revolt, comfortable enough that the masses don't organize, confusing enough that no one can identify a clear enemy. This is why the Federal Reserve has been playing such a careful game with interest rates. They can't raise them too high, or the debt becomes completely unsustainable. But they can't lower them too far, or inflation spirals out of control. They're trapped between two catastrophic outcomes, trying to thread a needle that might not have a hole. The NFL backlash fits perfectly into this managed decline. It's a pressure release valve. Give people something to be angry about that doesn't threaten the system. Let them feel like they're resisting something. Let them boycott the Super Bowl if they want. It doesn't matter. Because the real decisions are being made in private equity boardrooms and central bank meetings. The real power is consolidating while everyone watches the show. And here's what nobody wants to admit. There might not be a way out of this. Not a good way, anyway. The debt is too large. The interest payments are too high. The political system is too captured by wealthy interests. The public is too divided to mount any kind of coordinated response. We might just be watching the slow-motion collapse of American financial hegemony, narrated by cable news and scored to outrage on social media. The question isn't whether it's going to happen. The question is how bad it's going to get before people realize what's been lost. We are watching the liquidation of the American empire in real time, hidden behind the urgent news cycle of sports and celebrity. The hostage isn't the NFL, it's you, it's your savings, it's your future. It's the promise that America would be a place where hard work still matters, where opportunity still exists, where the next generation could build a better life than the one before. That promise is being foreclosed on. The auction has already started. And the people running the auction are the same people who crashed the system in the first place. February 2026 might be remembered as the point of no return. Not because of anything dramatic, not because of some single catastrophic event, but because this was the moment when the psychological preparation was complete, when Americans finally accepted that decline was inevitable, that austerity was necessary, that we needed to lower our expectations and tighten our belts while the people at the top continued accumulating wealth at record pace. The Super Bowl controversy was never about a halftime show. It was about training you to blame the wrong enemies, to fight the wrong battles, to exhaust yourself on cultural grievances while the economic foundation crumbles beneath your feet. So here's what you do with this information. First, understand that you're not crazy for feeling like something is fundamentally broken. You're not paranoid for suspecting that the system is rigged. You're paying attention. Second, follow the money. Stop getting distracted by the cultural controversies and start looking at who's actually benefiting from all of this. Who's buying up assets while everyone else is struggling? Who's getting bailouts while small businesses close? Who's writing the regulations that are supposed to regulate them? Third, protect yourself, because the cavalry isn't coming. There's no political savior who's going to fix this. The system is working exactly as designed. It's just not designed for you anymore. And finally, keep a close eye on the midterms this November, because when the bread and circuses stop being fun, When the distractions stop working, when people start connecting the dots between their personal economic pain and the structural failures of the system, that's when the real game begins. This isn't about being pessimistic, it's about being prepared. The American empire isn't ending with a bang. It's ending with a Super Bowl controversy and a debt ceiling debate. It's ending with inflation and interest rates and quiet policy decisions that sound boring until you realize what they actually mean. The question is whether you'll see it coming.